Guys, welcome to another episode of Tech Stories. And today on the show, I have with me Eugene Orimbo, the founder and CEO of EventStur Solutions in Kenya. Welcome to the show, Eugene. How are you doing, sir?
Thank you so much, Charles, for hosting me. I'm doing well. Thank you so much.
That's good. That's good to hear. Where are you right now in Kenya? Where exactly in Kenya are you? Nairobi?
Yeah, currently I'm in Nairobi, Kenya. Nairobi being the capital of Kenya.
Right.
Yeah, and of course the tech hub of Kenya as well.
It's what I've always thought. Kenya. I think Nairobi is a big space for tech and stuff. Do you feel like are there other places catching up to Nairobi, or it's kind of predominantly Nairobi?
Perhaps in the Kenyan space, I think it's slowly spreading out.
Okay.
It's slowly spreading out because of the penetration of internet and such type of thing. So it's everything is decentralizing because everything used to be concentrated in Nairobi.
Right.
But even with the new form of governance that we have, there's a strong urge to decentralize everything from the capital.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting. That's an interesting approach. Well, before we get too much into politics, let's segue into getting to know you a little better. I think let's start off a little bit with getting to know you. Can you tell a little bit about yourself? Maybe, for example, maybe what you studied, and other things about yourself you would like to share, maybe like hobbies or etc. Let people just get to essence of who you are.
Okay, so I'm a 25-year-old Kenyan.
Okay.
I'm a passionate tech lover. Currently, I am the founder and CEO of EventStur, as you mentioned. Then, in terms of what I did in campus is I did IT, information technology, as a degree at a campus called JKUAT, Jomo Kenyatta University. So I think I completed my campus in 2018. Okay. Yes, and since then I've been active in the tech space and the tech industry.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Interesting. That's so the university says it's Commerce. Can you say that again? What's the name? I think it's.
Oh, sorry. So it's Jomo Kenyatta.
Jomo Kenyatta. Ah, okay. The very famous first. I think one of the first presidents of Kenya, or one of the pioneers, right, or leading the way to I guess liberation for Kenyans, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Very famous. So that and University of Nairobi, which one is much more famous? Because I think I know that I see a lot of people that predominantly go to Jomo Kenyatta. But which one is more prevalent or famous in that way in Kenya?
Okay, most definitely that will be the Nairobi University.
Okay.
Because when it started. In terms of its excellence, in terms of academics, but slowly over the years, in terms of tech, in terms of IT and all that, JKUAT has really rose. If I'm not mistaken, it should be the best in Kenya in terms of tech. Yes.
JKUAT, yeah, that's good. Interesting. That's good, and it's good for listeners too. People will be listening to this podcast. Maybe people in Kenya that will be listening, wanting to know what choice of school. It's good that you laid it a pretty good comparison between the two, so that's I think that's good to know. I think a lot of people will be tuning into this. That's something they might want to hear or be keen on knowing. You've already mentioned that you're big in the tech space. You're very active since you graduated. Then one thing I'm always curious is like why tech? People who are in tech, why did they choose this field? Is there a story behind your choice for going into tech, or what was it?
I think it's one of those stories of passion to portfolio. It started way back than I can remember. If I could take you to what for our system we call that a primary school, which is I think around it's the junior level of academics.
Right.
So there I just grew fond of we used to have these computer studies, and I used to be very fond of it, and I was made some sort of a computer lab prefect. So that will perhaps earn me, good access to the lab. Then my late father also saw the interest I had in computers, because I will go to his workplace and I will always just hang around the computer only. So yes.
No, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. I was just gonna say, is it the fact? Do you feel like the fact that you had access to computer very earlier on gave you that push? That, I guess, way to experiment with that, because if there were no computers, right, then maybe it would have been something else, But because you got to play with these computers at the lab, and then you started, fiddling around with a few things here and there, and then maybe that interest sparked from there. Do you feel like that was what happened?
True. You're very right. It's basically the exposure. You see, when exposure is there right from a very young age, it certainly defines you. Because you grow the passion. You grow the passion quickly, and start investing earlier. Again, this is all subtle. It's different when I would say if I discovered computers way later in my life, perhaps the passion will not have been the same.
That's true.
Yes.
True. Yeah. So from primary school, from being a computer lab prefect, and then going to your dad's office to fiddle with computer, how did it go from there? Was that the stage, I guess, or the point at which you said, this is my thing. This computer thing is what I want to do. When was that exact discovery where you knew, computer science was the thing and that's what I want to do? Was it when you got into secondary school, or was it still when you were still going to your dad's office? When exactly was the timeline?
Okay. I will say around the same primary stage, the primary school stage. I just knew that I just wanted to do computers in my life. Maybe perhaps it was not defined like I'll be maybe a software engineer, I'll be a hardware engineer and all that. But I was like, okay, if there's anything that I would like to do, it generally has to be around computers.
Oh, wow, okay.
It could literally mean that perhaps I would be a data entry guy, but I just knew that I had to hang around computers.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's quite a passion there. Yeah, well, that's good. That's interesting. So early exposure helps. Parents out there listening to this, get your kids computers. Get them computers. Because you never know. Yes. That's something that might spark their interest, and they might venture into it in the future. But yeah, that's nice. That's lovely.
Yes.
Before we, like you also said, you've done a lot of, you're active in the tech space since you graduated and all of that. Yes. I know that, like you're a CEO and founder right now, but before we talk about hey guys, before we continue the podcast, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Divinify Digital. Divinify Digital is a digital agency that helps businesses and individuals establish a strong online presence by building them websites, web apps, and even e-commerce stores. Their details would be in the description section of this podcast. And now let's get back to the podcast. Entrepreneurial journey. I'm curious to know how you got your first professional gig in tech, like your very first professional job. How did you get that? What was the approach, and how did you stand out? Because a lot of people, that are getting into tech, whether they want to start out their career as software engineers or something, they're looking for how to break through into the industry. What did you do to get that first job? How did you stand out? Yeah.
Okay, perhaps I will break it in about two short stories.
Okay.
Because the first one is when I'm starting, I'm doing IT in campus. This is about in my late first year.
Okay.
So I have this urge. I'm like, okay, this is me. I'm doing IT, and I just need more skills. But skills at times is not enough. I also need the network out there, because I want to be really active, both in academics and perhaps to understand IT from a very industrial point of view. Because there's how you look at it from school, but there's really what the industry requires. So what I do is I say, let me contact one of my uncles I know he has a company. He might want to do a website. Let me start with that. So I contact him. He tells me, okay, no one has ever approached me with this. Having run my business for about 40 years, but okay, you give it a try. So I do that. I impress him, and yeah, he gets so excited about this. And of course, there was so much reward. And just by the fact that I could do this and I could get rewards now really pushed me now. So that is what really pushed me. So I will now link perhaps this story to the next one. So because of the first reward that I got, and it's something that I'm doing passionately. I didn't know that if I do something so passionately and effortlessly, I could get rewarded.
Wow. That's an interesting revelation. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I showcase my work to a fellow classmate. I tell them that this is what I can do. This is what I've done. So he also surprisingly had some. There was a company that wanted an app developed for them, and this guy was given this work to do. Seemingly he didn't have the skills, but he had the connection. So this guy outsources this app development work to me. So I take it up, I do it so well, and because I did it so well, he's like, okay, man, let me just introduce you to these guys, because some of the things that you've done, I'm not so sure I can even explain it to them. So I got there, these guys are impressed. And immediately I'm hired. I went there. It was a consult. Let me do. I'm supposed to get paid this amount, X amount. But you get there, you're told, okay, we'll pay you this X amount, but we'd also like to retain you.
Wow.
Now that was now in second year now.
Okay. Wow. That's. Sorry, it was breaking a little bit. What did you say before? Sorry, it broke a little bit. It was some.
Okay. Then so what I was saying is, like when I presented this work to those guys, to now the first company that I worked for. Right. So like I mentioned, it was a consultancy job because I was to do it and get paid for that. But now, because of how I presented, because of how it was something that they were really tried doing it for years and they failed. So the fact that I did it, they decided to tell me like, okay, here's your amount for the consultancy, and we would also like to retain you. So we're offering you a permanent job.
Wow. So if I get this correctly, it started with your uncle, doing like a website. What's the website for his company, right? Like you were kind of building a website for his company. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And then from that, you now showed it to your friend, your classmate, your colleague, and like through word of mouth, hey, this is what I can do. And then your friend now introduced you to, these other folks who were looking for like a developer, an app developer. And then you kept going from there through connection like that and word of mouth, spreading what you can do, your abilities. That paints a perfect picture of what happened, correct?
Yes, correct.
Wow. I think, this is very revealing. I think it's one thing I've learned it's important to always it's not necessarily bragging, but it's important to always, create awareness for the skills you have and some sort of like show people what you can do. And also you taking that initiative to work on a website for your uncle's business. That's amazing, and you took that initiative and then it just kept going from there. And what I'm noticing with this story, you didn't wait until you graduated from university. You did it earlier on. You did it. With all this experience, by the time you're done, of course, I'm thinking, a lot of people were already looking forward to hire you because you started. So do you think do you feel like this approach is something that every young person in school, in the tech space, that in university or colleges, do you feel like that's an approach they should adopt, trying to work on side project or working on like real life project, whether it's for a family member or something, and then trying to start building their portfolio or their resume, their CV like that from that earlier on, like early university days? Do you feel like that's an approach everybody should adopt?
Okay. Certainly, Charles. I'll not say that it's an approach that could work for everyone, but it worked for me, and I will definitely advocate it to anyone in this sense. There's never an early time to start building your portfolio, because what I was doing when I was approaching my uncle, I didn't know that there was even a reward for it. I just wanted to do a portfolio such that if I need to take me about 3 or 4 years, by the time I'm finishing with school, I can easily present to someone like, okay, this is what I've been doing for the last 3 years.
Right.
So like the greatest lesson is you don't have to wait to start building a.
Exactly.
You don't have to. Yes.
Right. That's perfect. That's a perfect summary for that summarizes the lesson from your story, from that journey. Yeah, really, you don't have to wait. Get started, whether it's for free, whether there's no reward. The incentive, the motive is to have something on your CV before you experiences on your CV before you're done with school. Fantastic.
Yes.
Man, I think that would be very valuable for a lot of young people in college or university listening to this right now. So as mentioned already, you're the CEO of EventStur Solutions. Now, can you tell us a little bit about what EventStur Solutions is all about and why you started the company?
Okay. So you see, it's EventStur still connects to the company that hired me first. It was basically an events and marketing and agency marketing company.
Okay.
So being there, actually, if I just backtrack slightly, I worked there from that time till that was 2016. I worked there from 2016 till 2019. So in those years, being in a event space, there are things that I saw. Okay, I saw gaps in the industry. And there were gaps that I'll not say that I'll do events better and all that. There were gaps that how to better manage events. And for me, how to better manage events was through tech, because that is the only tool and that is the only weapon that I have. So EventStur, of course, came from a background of where I was. So now maybe to answer your question, what EventStur is. EventStur is we call it an events social platform where we connect events to event lovers.
Okay.
So you are seated here. It's a Friday evening or it's a Saturday evening, and you're bored. You don't know where the next gig is. You don't know where a certain party is. So you just go to EventStur, and we sort of like recommend events to you based on your location and based on your personality.
Nice.
So and we realized, the other thing that we realized is that when people talk of events, people tend to think it's all about the entertainment and the nightlife. Yet events are events. Event is basically, for us, event is anything. They are book club lovers out there. Are into books. They are events for them. So there are things like even sports. At times, for our country, sports is not well represented in terms of events. So we needed to create awareness. Tell guys that, hey, even if you're not a nightlife guy, you have an outdoor event somewhere that you can attend. Maybe if you're a science guy, there are science and technology events that you can attend. Yes.
Right. So a couple of things. So it was that I'm beginning to think that it seems like some of the gaps that you saw when you were working for the event and marketing agency was you feel like the events were not so personalized to maybe their interests, and maybe that was one of the gaps you saw.
Okay, so yes, so maybe if I could spell out the gaps, number one is the first gap was the event awareness. The the event awareness in this sense. Like me coming from now this event organizing company or event management company, you could set up a very good event, but how to reach the users or the end users or the consumers of the event was a problem. And on that other side, there are guys that really want to attend this event. Now the gap here is the how is information relayed to them. Right.
Okay. So yeah, that awareness. Yeah, you're right. So that's one thing. Interesting.
The second one, the second thing was because we are still an events and management company. You know, we manage different sectors. We manage different suppliers in that chain. As you know, basically an event has caterers, it has venues, it has the DJs and the MCs and all that.
Right.
So the other thing that inspired EventStur is how difficult is it for a common person to organize an event? And organizing an event means that you need to have these networks to these suppliers and party planners. So that you're able to set up an event, even a very basic birthday event. So what we did is EventStur, the solution was, let's bring recommended or people that good service providers to the platform. Let them have their rate cards. Let people review them and all these things. Then for to the end users, whether you want to have a very big party or a small party, there's a starting point where the starting point is go to EventStur. If you want your party to have a DJ, we have a list of DJs around you, and these are their rate cards. So right from that point, there's again awareness on how you should plan a party, or rather how you should cost for a party.
Wow, that's amazing. It's interesting, that it was strategic for you, that you first of all worked with as while you were working with an agency, you saw a problem in their solution or in what the services they currently were offering, and then you took that problem and then turned it into a solution, and that became your whole big thing. That became your whole company. That's where your own startup came out from. That's beautiful. Do you feel like that's always the best approach to go when it comes to starting a business? Work in the industry first, see gaps and issues in the industry, and then build your own startup based on those gaps and issues. Do you feel like that's always a good approach to go?
Yes, Charles. Okay. This is it. I think for you to have any startup, I think it's always important for you to have some background knowledge in that industry, because you see, for you to be the founder and perhaps maybe the CEO and all that, you always have to be the top of the game. You're the one who has this vision. You know what you want for it. So that background knowledge helps you shape the vision for the company, and even things like know how to hire, who to hire, who to approach, and all these things. So it might not be. I'll not tell you for sure, Charles, that I'm the best. I didn't even study events. But just by the fact of association with that company,
right.
There was some knowledge transfer.
Definitely.
So this is what now shaped me, or rather shaped EventStur.
Wow, beautiful. Yes. So the other thing I was going to ask then was in that case then, do you feel like it was difficult for you to build credibility or trust as a startup? Maybe because typically I think that's one of the issues new companies or new businesses or or startups face. You're a new guy. How do you build credibility and or trust when you're just new? Nobody knows you and stuff like that. Like some of the problem they now face is like, how do you even get a customer to start using your services when you're just so new in the market? Nobody knows you and nobody like even as heard about this thing, this is the first time they're hearing it, What was that a challenge for you at some point, where when you started EventStur Solutions, because you were a new business, you didn't have credibility, you didn't have, nobody knew you, no trust and all of that. How did you encounter a challenge getting your first client or customer to start using your service? And was that an issue?
Yeah, yes, most definitely. Definitely, because I was going to a space that is new in Kenya. Is new in Kenya in terms of digitizing things like events and awareness and all these things. Some people have never heard about that idea. So you first have to, fast track the whole thing, let it make sense to them first, what you're doing, before you start selling your product. So you have to give them some small, sort of a lesson or a tutorial on what you're doing first.
Yeah.
Before you sell it to them, before you even sell the benefits to them. But I will say, generally, because of the issues around resources in terms of capital, there are so many things that make startups have a difficult time to get even their first customer. So many things. So for our case, yes.
Okay.
Yes, for our case, it was even coupled up with the COVID thing, because we are in the event space. You're just launching this thing, and boom, you're told that no events.
Right. it just yeah. Actually, that could be a major challenge for a business like yours, where it's a business that brings people together, or but then when have a policy in place where it's like people are restricted from being together because of there's a pandemic and stuff like that. How do you thrive in that world? So yeah, it can be challenging, but I know COVID is not here to stay. It's going to go away at some point, So hang in there, brother. But just to, kind of still pinpoint on just specifically about how you got your first customer or how you got your first client, being that you were new in the market, so how did you get that first person to start using event space?
Okay, so EventStur. So I got a friend of mine. Who is a huge Twitter influencer in Kenya, and he was not exactly a friend at first. This was me approaching him so that he would help influence EventStur on the platform. So while I was explaining this idea, he was so interested. He saw it more than just a consultancy job. So just to fast track the story, so because of that, they sort of own a venue through the family. So we came up with this idea, instead of us looking for event organizers to come to our platform, so that we put their event to our platform and market it and sell tickets. Why don't we create our own event? So by us creating our own event, this is it. Because it's our own event, we are going to use as much media as we want. We are going to have as much visibility in terms of brand visibility. We can tailor make the experience such that everyone that is going to walk through that event is going to feel the impact of EventStur.
Interesting.
So what we just did, we were our first clients.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. You were your first client, and wow, that's interesting. And I can definitely see. Yeah. It was a success, right?
Yes. Because we actually showed guys what EventStur could do. It's the lessons that I got from the company. At times, people need to experience the service or the product so that they really get what you talk about, what you're talking about. It's not enough to just place an ad or do this. There's some experiential stuff that connects to guys.
That's interesting. So the events, if I get you correctly, the events that the event you guys organized, was it about showing off EventStur, or like talking about events, or what was the event? What kind of event did you guys organize yourself? Like that first event you guys organized, what was it? Was it about EventStur, or was it talking about trying to educate people on the new platform, or something else?
Okay. So what we did is the event basically was a very interesting concept. Imagine it was a concert. It was a concert not about EventStur, but it was a concert. It was dubbed in our local language. It's called Msitu. It was dubbed Msitu Raha.
Msitu Raha.
Msitu Raha.
Msitu Raha.
Raha.
Yes. Msitu Raha. Yeah, don't worry. My Swahili is getting better, but yeah.
So the Msitu means forest in Kenya, like in Swahili. Msitu is forest. Then Raha is fun. So because these guys had access to basically a forest, we decided why don't we have a concert in a forest?
Whoa. Concert in a forest, man.
You see, this has never been done before. It's an interesting concept.
Indeed.
It has never been done before. It's an interesting concept, and everyone is like, okay. And by all means, because it's in the forest, we even meet all COVID protocol, all COVID standards. So because it's a forest, there's so much land, there's so much space.
Right.
And we, like I'm telling you, we didn't even sort of say it's an EventStur thing and all that. How EventStur was coming in was if the ticketing would be done through EventStur. So that was the entry. Before even guys came, they were like, okay, there's something called EventStur. That is where we're supposed to get our tickets.
Wow, genius! Wow, beautiful. So before we end that section, how was the forest concert? I hope it went well. Already you said it was a success. It's just the concept is just funny.
So it actually went well. We did a couple of other editions.
Okay.
And surprisingly, it was one of those things that I think everyone benefited in their own way, because even the owners of that venue have been trying to open it up, for guys to even come and hire that venue. So they also benefited. They got the marketing. We got our name out there. And everyone benefited.
No, definitely. It did. Seemed like it was a win-win for everybody. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, that's some very interesting strategy right there. Be your first client, and subtly put in your product in one way, shape, or form. Wow. I guess. Do you feel like because you had worked in a space in an event and managing agency and stuff like that, you were really sure that if you were to take the gaps you've seen in the event sector in Kenya, if you were to take those gaps and fix those gaps and those problems you saw, that you were going to have a successful business? Were you so sure? Because the reason I'm asking is because people typically, when with startup, when they're building like products, like as a software, people typically try to have like an MVP, like a test, just to test that it could be successful. They don't want to put in too much resources from the get-go. They just develop something small and simple, something very minuscule, and then put it out there. Let's see if this thing works. If it works, then we completely develop it full-fledged. But if it doesn't, we abandon it, but I guess for you, that I'm not sure. I feel like you didn't use that approach at all, because it seems like you were so sure that this thing was going to blow up,
No. It's I don't. Okay, I told you a little bit about events, how it started. Perhaps that is not the full story of it. So maybe just to answer your question is the first thing is I think for any entrepreneur that is is vibrant, that is passionate, you're always sure until you get your first punch on the face. Then there's reality. I'm talking this way because I am a software developer, and this is software developer, software engineers. We have this thing that we think that so long as you can develop something with the best technologies that there is out there, there is the market that waits for you.
But
now, yes. So you see, a product like EventStur, it's not the technology that I used. It's not how complex I developed it or something of that sort. There is more to it. In fact, just the product itself, in any startup, I think, is about 30 to 40%.
Right.
There are other aspects that need to be there for the whole thing to run. I'm talking about the marketing, I'm talking about the business, I'm talking about all these things.
Yeah.
So coming from being a developer, that was my first thinking. I thought that just because I've done something so well that even when I test it amongst my peers, it looks so good, then when I'm going to launch it, like, maybe tomorrow, Monday, I'll be like at 1,000 users by the end of the week. So I didn't take into consideration that, or rather, it's not even about taking in consideration. It's because there is no knowledge that you even need to focus on the marketing, on the business, on getting strategic partners, suppliers. Right. Yes.
So would you say that are you saying that one of the things you would have done, or if you didn't already do this, would have been to see? Well, so do you think that EventStur Solution, it's getting there, like it's going to get to that point of success that you're looking for it to get, or it's already successful right now?
It's I will say this. I will say it is it's getting there.
Okay.
It's getting there. I never like to say success, being success, because perhaps that brings some other laxity or some other, but
complacentness. Yeah.
Yes, I just need to keep myself on toes, and I think based on the vision that I had for it, it's still very young. It's still very young.
Very young, yeah.
Yes, which means that I have to put in more work, more blood, more sweat, and all tears.
Yeah. Like one of my favorite hosts used to say, the 10,000 hours, yeah. But I hear you. I think I would say then, based off of that, it's always good to have that what's it called? Like that, like always find a way to test out your ideas, whether it's going to have potentials or not. So that way you minimize, the time spent, and you minimize resources as well. You save on that, because we can all have ideas, but you never know which one is going to really hit the market, right? Yes. So it's always good to have a way to test it out. So okay.
So maybe if I can just jump in slightly, because there's something I told you that I did not give you the full history of how it started. Maybe I can just some small thing. When I was starting it, as you said, you talked about an MVP, and to me, I was doing an MVP, and I really didn't think much of it. So when I was starting, I won't lie to you, I didn't think much of it until someone forwarded some sort of competition to me. These are startup competitions that, or rather, the seed funding programs that are usually there.
Right.
So there is someone, when I was just doing that, I'm just bored. I'm just from coding. Then I'm like, okay, someone has sent me a link, open it. Then they like, put up your startup idea, then we will fund you. So I apply this, of course, thinking, okay, there's nothing much I can show. It's an MVP. I don't have the numbers. I'm just I'm just passionate about developing. So I didn't think much of it. So I apply that, then boom, I get to be a finalist.
Wow.
So I get to be a finalist in Africa, and I need to head to Tunisia for the final pitch.
Wow. What's the name of this program? Is that something that's done in Kenya, or Nairobi? I mean, it could be.
It was called Afric'Up.
Afric'Up. Okay.
Yes, it's called Afric'Up.
Okay.
Yes, it's an Africa Startup Summit.
Okay. Wow, that's cool. And that's something that happens. How often does that happen? Where, and what is it about? If you can quickly give a highlight about Africa, because I think this would be very valuable for a lot of young, founders out there that are trying to, get their business ideas tested out and stuff like that, or get seed fundings, I'm guessing. So can you trade a little bit of highlight what Afric'Up is about?
Okay, so it's basically I will say a competition amongst young African entrepreneurs in Africa.
Okay.
Then of course it happens at once a year, or rather it's an annual thing. So they occasionally theme it. Maybe they'll say we are focusing on innovation and I don't know, this type of thing this year. Then the next one there'll be another theme and all that. So what happens is that you submit your idea. Then of course you go through that process of the rigorous interviews and all those things until now there's sort of like a selection process that goes through. Then of course I'll not say all countries, but all maybe half of African countries thereabout.
Okay.
So the people that get to be finalists, they normally pick a venue. Maybe most times it's usually in Tunisia. Yeah, it's normally in Tunisia. So you get to, what is it called? They get to fund you. Then you go there, meet other like-minded entrepreneurs. They are even ready. They are even ready mentors there. So even if you don't really win, first, they leave you first with hope that by the time you're getting here, you are, it's a competition. All of you can't be winners, but by the time you're getting here, then you're headed in the right direction. Yes.
Wow, that's beautiful, man. That's very, So with that funding, is it a thing where is there some sort of, I guess, is it sort of like a transactional kind of funding where it's like they have a stake in your startup if they fund you, where if they fund you, they get, and you start making, revenues from your business, you have to pay them back or something give them some sort of stake or something like that, or it's like a completely, kind of selfless kind of act, where they fund you and that's it.
Okay, that's a good question. I think because they are basically investors. The whole thing was to connect investors. So basically, investors always want a return.
Yeah,
so perhaps you will negotiate on things like stake, or even if it's a business loan. But the most important thing is that the investors are there waiting for you.
Wow. Okay.
So the negotiations, I think, will be different depending on how you go about it.
For sure. Yeah.
Yes. Of course, I also didn't win. So
but you definitely you got to the finalists. That's something, my friend. That's something to definitely celebrate over. Hold another concert in the forest.
And you see, the funny thing is that my local sponsor, because what these guys do is that they partner with key companies in a country. So my local sponsors, the company sort of let me down at the last minute. There was issue around my ticket booking, such that it was a bit late. By the time if I was to get into that plane, perhaps I'll arrive when the competition is done.
Wow.
So what I did, but again, what I did is that I sort of did my pitch on Skype, like what you're doing right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
I could talk to you for days, hours, but we're gradually running out of time here. But before you go, two things I want to ask you.
Yes.
Well, one is just, like, like any word of advice you have for aspiring tech entrepreneurs, or, people who want to even scale their existing, businesses. That's one thing, any tip, any advice you have for those set of people.
I think, the greatest advice I have is build relationships, build networks that are going to take you to places. For you, I think to get your word out there, it's your network, because if you have a good network, they are going to sell. They're even going to sell you on your behalf organically, because they also have their own networks, So build networks in the business, and particularly when you are in the tech space. And I'll talk to the software developers and software engineers. It's not really enough to just have a product. So as much as you have a product, or you want to do something, just be sure even in your closest network there are people that can help you push the product organically without even you paying them, or So just make sure that you have that.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, because they'll bring you connections. My life, I've never done aggressive marketing. It's all about the small networks that I have. Some lead up to bigger networks, and you're like, okay, how did that happen?
Yeah.
That is the first advice. The second one is give your product, give your startup time. There's most of my friends and most of my networks are usually older guys, considering my age. So most guys are usually very old. So listening to them, and most of them do mentor me, they feel that the greatest problem we have right now is the dedication, the ability for us to wait and see through something.
Right.
There's a false impression that this thing is like social media, like perhaps you post a photo and you get like 1,000 likes.
It blows up overnight, overnight success. That's something I've always, had conversation with in my own little circle of friends, where I talk, and like, this thing is a journey, man. There is no overnight success here, man. So it goes back to what I was saying. People not wanting to put the 10,000 hours, But anyways, continue. Sorry.
Yeah, so that is it. You need to have the ability to be patient and see through something. Because as you say, it's not really easy. I will tell you, even right now, I think of quitting every single minute. but you see, that was not the challenge. The challenge was not for me to quit. The challenge was for me to be there and to just see it through. No matter what it's going to take, I'll just see it through.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. Wise words from my man, Eugene. Lastly, this is your time. Feel free to promote anything you want to promote with our platform. If you have anything you want to advertise and let the audience know, feel free to do it now.
Okay, so as you've listened through this podcast, EventStur, we are an event social platform. So feel free to always, it's open to everyone. You can post your events there. Let guys know that you have something coming up. It doesn't even have to be a public event. It could be a private event. So visit EventStur, purchase tickets, tell guys that there is an event for literally anyone in this world. It doesn't have to be the nightlife. It doesn't have to be entertainment. We have events for everyone. The other thing is that to just sustain ourselves, we also do software development consultancy through EventStur. So we also do like custom solutions in terms of software to guys. So whenever you feel interested, you can hit us up through our platforms, EventStur, or through our email, info@eventstur.com, and we can get you something.
All right. Well, Thanks, guys, for tuning into this episode of Tech Stories. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Until next time, I remain your host, Eugene. Thank you for being on the show, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alex. It has been a pleasure.
All right. Bye.
Yeah.